where the management office was, it was empty. There was just a posting on the window that we suggest that you evacuate, and if you don't have family, call 311. And we have a generator. It might last for 6 days. It may not. And call 911 if there's a medical emergency. And I was just really taken aback by that. You know, we had actually started calling this facility a couple days before that every day, and we hadn't reached anybody, and we just assumed that they had evacuated. And there was no process set up. So that's led us to today, and we all have seen what has happened throughout the city in terms of evacuating a lot of these facilities. So we have submitted today a draft ordinance to the administration that really changes the definition of residential care facilities and adds independent living. Because what happened here, and this is what managers tell us, well, you don't understand, they're independent living, they can come and go as they want. But I think we all know that you can be independent in a wheelchair, in a walker, or on oxygen if you can get and use an elevator, and if you have the resources to come and go. As soon as the electricity is out, and this particular person that passed away was on oxygen, you know, then you don't have independence anymore. And he was also on the second floor. So I think we really need to rein in this concept of independent living and understand the city in which we live in and what we're up against. So this draft ordinance has been submitted to the city, to both the administration and the health department, so that they can also propagate their own rules accordingly. But what this does is it also ensures that there can be an annual inspection process with both safety and permits, as well as the fire department to do health, wealth, safety checks, right, and make sure that they are in compliance. And then it will also mandate that they have to have an evacuation plan that is submitted to NERSEP, so that we can see, and within that evacuation plan, if they decide to stay, there has to be 24-hour management on site, and there has to be a phone number that is posted, and they have to have a daily manifest of the residents within here, because that's the other thing we saw very clearly when we went to a lot of these different facilities, is nobody knew who was there and who was not there, which basically made it the city then had to go door to door to find out who was still in the city and who was a resident. So we think that these are a really smart common sense. It's also going to talk about generation power and how to ensure that the elevators work also in these types of issues. And so we're really excited to be working in partnership quickly with the city and with the health department to ensure this does not happen again in the event we're still in hurricane season. And I think we all need to be very cognizant of that as we move forward. So thank you all very much for being here. Any questions?
In regards to the gentleman who died, you mentioned he was on oxygen. Do you know if it was the lack of oxygen?
I do not. I think that is information in the coroner's office that I'm not sure if it's been released or not.
So what are the next steps?
For this right now, so we introduced it with the clerk's office, and again, like with the mayor and with the administration and the health department. And so the next step is to really pass it to the council and to allow it to lay over, and it also has to receive some rules. So the promulgation of the rules to really ensure that it also does what the administration wants it to do.
Do you have faith that this would be something to be enacted during this hurricane season or for next hurricane?
That is my intent. Absolutely. I think it's easy enough to do an evacuation plan. It also, within this ordinance, and we have draft copies if you'd like to look at it, it also allows the residential facility to ask for an evacuation that can be done in partnership with the city, which is what we saw that happen, right? And we appreciate and understand that that can also occur. So we have really good options here, and we want to do this in partnership.
You mentioned there was an assumption when you guys tried to contact this place and no one answered it. The city just assumed that
The city did not, my office did, right? And I know that there have been different communications with different management, but I think what happened was, even from the city's perspective, my understanding, they were having conversations with management that weren't even on site. And it wasn't until people started going into these buildings and putting their eyes on the buildings, on the conditions, on the residents, did we realize that there was a need to start evacuating folks.
Has your office had any contact with management since all of this went down?
No, we've not.
Do you know where they are?
I do not. The other thing that was really shocking too, and that we're putting in this ordinance, is nobody had a master key. And that was something on a couple different sites, the lack of a master key or having to find one in order to locate one to get into every single door was also a real big holdup. There are a lot of situations here, and all different sites, right? Not particularly this one, that we really have to look at and address.
In regards to all the issues that you've just laid out here and the fact that you have not been in contact with the management, don't even know where they are, what does that say to you?
Well, again, it says the necessity and the need for this ordinance. I do find it important, quite frankly. I think that there's a basic issue, and you can talk to a lot of the residents. You know, the theme that I saw throughout every single residential site that we visited, because we did multiple starting the day after the storm, quite frankly, was one of people feeling like they weren't important, they weren't valued as a human, that they weren't cared for. And we also have to remember that as the days progressed, they also didn't have the ability to charge their phones. So there was no communication. So just imagine being in a darkened apartment with no knowledge of what the next day will bring, the next hour will bring. And so we saw a lot of scared folks.
I know this isn't about the ordinance, but after gathering all of this information and seeing all of this firsthand, are there any investigations that you're aware of into either criminal activity, or are there any plans for any sort of legal cases to be brought against them?
I'm not sure. You would have to ask that to the appropriate authorities. I'm trying to fix this at the legislative level, where I think it's really needed. And I do think that y'all should speak to the residents, and some of them just showed, you know, what was really striking to me as well, no matter where we went, there always seemed to be one leader. There was one person that kind of either wrote down, like at Renaissance Tower, they literally wrote down people that couldn't get out of their rooms, which made it easier for us to go through with the firemen. Queenie, you were here. She basically made sure that everybody, when we would drop off water and ice, that they would make sure all the people that couldn't get it, they would be running up to their rooms. It was really remarkable, you know, to meet those folks and see what they did and how much they cared for each other.
Lady Palmer, can I ask you a question? The state city inspectors of the city should be more aware of what's going on with this building. Okay, coming down the stairs from the second, third floor with a flashlight on the ground, trying to pay people to get the crippled people down from there. It was a death trap. Understand? And I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for all that you did for us, because you know you have a big area here to deal with, and I want to thank you for the residents at the 16 apartments, because it was so hard for me to deal with this, because I've seen so much tragedy before.
Are you able to come up and speak?
I've seen so much of this before with Katrina, but we really want to thank you, and we know that you put your soul, your heart, your soul into this. And when you came, you were very upset. But what I'm saying is, inspectors of the city, the fire department came. They couldn't get in the door. I had to keep coming downstairs, down the steps in the dark. Okay, but this is what my calling is. I've been working with the homeless 24 years. I've been trying to get the mayor to understand some things. We're not going to go there. But anyway, I just want to say that they put these people in these buildings. I've been there 9 months. I've never seen them come and spray. I never seen that one man had not possibly cleaned this whole building now with maggots, with flies, with horse flies, with trash in every reports room. It's impossible to do that. So I just hope that you continue staying on your pilgrim march with us. And we thank you very much for all your services. Okay.
She's also referring to currently the building where she is now that they got power, and it's managed, like I said, by Renaissance Towers, where we had to evacuate folks, is that they now only have one maintenance person
In the whole
in
building.
the entire building that's supposed to clean up garbage and refuse that's been sitting there with no air conditioning. Y'all can just imagine
The smell
the conditions.
is horrible.
And so we've been trying to help her this morning, trying to figure out and track them down. Again, they're out of town management offices. So.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived there 10 months.
In the
10
years
months.
you've lived there, have you had
And I've been with, before this started, I've been walking around seeing differences in the building, cracks in the wall, the when it rains. Well, the old part is the old 16 public school, but the new part is really messed up. Okay, the floors are buckling, different things are happening in the building because they don't have a maintenance service to keep the building up. It is impossible for one man to go to all those refuse rooms, take out garbage every day. You know, hazmat need to come in the building and encapsulate the building and do something with it because it's really a health threat to stay in the building right now because of the smell. You know?
And one of the
blood is on the floor from them dragging bags down, taking all the food out of the refrigerator, and they didn't have nowhere to get downstairs. So it's just a deplorable condition.
And one of the things that she brings up that's so true, by putting them within a licensing process, and what we're trying to do with the ordinance is it's an annual renewal license, and it allows safety and permits also to go out and inspect. And that should also give the city more authority to look and find issues before we come to a point now where we're going through all these buildings. We're finding, not only is the city, and I really hope that you talk with the health department, not only are we finding issues right now that are caused right by the electricity going out, et cetera, but we're also finding some really bad building code violations as well. And I think that's something that this will allow people to live. So people need to live in decency, and so this is really another part of this.
Yes.
What kind of consequences will you know from this ordinance?
There's going to be, yes, there are going to be fines and fees, but again, by also having it as an annual renewal, it can be taken away. We clearly state within the ordinance that this licensing is a privilege, not a right, and that gives us the ability to claw it back if they're not responsible.
How are they currently classified if you're adding a new?
They're currently classified as independent living, right? So it's different than a nursing home. They're not required to have certain life safety issues. They're not required to have certain generation issues. They're not required to evacuate. They're not required to have like an evacuation plan like we're stating here. So by adding independent living to that classification of the way they treat nursing homes and certain qualifications of it, it gives greater ability for us to hold them accountable.
So you're creating a new classification.
We're adding the new classification, yes, within that code.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
When did you realize that you and your whole building, that you guys were in some serious trouble?
The first night the storm started, the walls started leaking, water started leaking through the different little cracks in my building, so I got newspaper and thing and put it. So I got my flashlight as usual, you know, walked around and saw a lot of things happening, and I just was hoping that the tree by my window wasn't going to fall on the house. So I got up and knocked on a couple of my second floor people's doors to see were they all right, and a lot of people were screaming. We had one lady to jump out of the window and broke her leg off the second floor, okay? And we didn't have any security. The people were coming, going in other people's apartments. The older people in there were screaming my name, but I couldn't really see to get around, so I'm feeling on the wall to get around, get a few people and trying to huddle together with them. So it was just a sad situation. I mean, it was like something out of some other space world or something. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going down the stairs and we could hear some of the stairs. That's why I said the code violations. The stairs was making noise, cracking. Okay, so somebody, help me Jesus, was not on their job with. Because I'm like Steve Harvey, it'll take me long to cuss. Somebody was not doing something about their job of coming and surveying the building correctly. Okay, and I mean we shouldn't be at this point. Hurricanes are not new to us in New Orleans. I mean, we need a roadmap to tell you how to run this thing.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be. I mean, maybe we're gonna have to take trial runs and play hurricanes to figure out how to get out of here. You know, 'cause water up to here the last time. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We just need to do a better job. One for all. This has nothing to do with color anymore. This is about humanity.
That's right.
This is about people, stronger in number in people. This is getting ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? The bad management. This lady. Hopefully she'll run for mayor the next time. Okay. So I mean, y'all, come on. We got to do better than this. We have to do better.
What message were you getting from management of this room?
We wasn't getting any message. The lady who manages the building, She came around. She didn't go. I'm thinking we sitting there. She didn't say, tenants, how are you doing? How y'all make it out? You know, she's taking pictures of gates that fell down. Come talk to the residents in here. People that's paying money to stay in here. People got that they had to use all their money to survive. Going buy food from riding up and down trying to find gas miles and miles away. Come on, this lady came up and stepped up and brought water, food, everything we needed. We'd have had nobody. I wouldn't forget. She wouldn't have come. We would have had nothing. No one came to the assistance of these people.
Was management in the building at all?
At all, none. She would come in, look around. The alarm stayed on
Did she
forever and
ever
ever.
knock each individual
No,
door?
she did not. She did not. You know, and it hurt me because I maybe shouldn't have mentioned that. But the movement I used to work with, you know, it kind of brought something out of me, but I had to pray not to go there like that. But it hurt me so bad because of the people that were in there. We have all kinds of people there. You know, we have all nationalities of people. Just I keep telling them they don't have anything to do with anything. What is going to happen if it brews up again and we're still in this building? I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get these people out of here. How we're going to get people with wheelchairs. The one man scooted down the steps on his back end. You know, crawling to it was unbelievable. And because this is a major city, New Orleans, tourist city. Got enough money from the last one. This city should not be in this condition. It's deplorable. It's sad. It's sad. We got to get some people in here that's going to put this thing back together, not just for the tourism. Yeah, that's very important to us, but for the people that worked and got in here and did and built this city up
That's right.
to where it is today. It shouldn't be this. This shouldn't be like this. So
What's the manager's name?
her name is Miss Williams. Miss Williams. You know, Erin Williams. Yes. Erin.
I can give you the name of
Yeah.
the management company. It's an out-of-town number, but I can give that to y'all.
Is it the same company that owns all of the ones?
No, it's the same company that owns the one Renaissance on the West Bank, that Renaissance Tower that was such a big problem, and that we evacuated a few days back.
Is this building, are the apartments publicly subsidized in any way, shape, or form?
I'm sure they are. Yeah, all of these buildings are subsidized. I don't know to the amount or to the extent.